to Strength in Numbers, the podcast where we show you that together we can overcome any obstacle. Join us as we bring on world-renowned experts in the field of grit, determination, and perseverance. Lean on us for a prosperous future together. Here's your hosts, Colonel Tim Nye and Neal Keohane.
Welcome to Strength in Numbers. My name is Colonel Retired Tim Nye, and I am joined today, as I always am, by my good friend and co-host and founder of Strength in Numbers, Mr. Patriot himself, Neal Keohane. Today we are speaking to another great patriot, Chaplain Major Brad Borders. As his title indicates, Brad is a U.S. Army chaplain and has served in multiple Army units, including the 10th and 3rd Special Forces Group and a 422nd Civil Affairs Battalion. When not in uniform, Brad continues to serve veterans as Vice President for Purple Heart Homes, a nonprofit that meets the housing needs for disabled warriors. Brad is married to his wife Tammy for 28 years, and they've raised 2 adult children. So I'm always fascinated by military chaplains because on first look, it's a little confusing why men who would dedicate themselves to peace and caring choose to enter a profession where they will encounter turmoil and violence. We also do so many of these men volunteer for combat duty. What lessons can we take from Chaplain Borders when we're making our own life difficult decisions? These and other topics are what we'll cover in today's show. But before we get started, we want to take a minute and remind you that every subscription and share helps support veterans across our nation. Whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and know that you are making a difference in the life of a veteran. So with that, Brad, welcome to Strength in Numbers.
Hey, sir, thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me today. It's a real honor.
Yeah, so Brad, obviously the very first question, I already alluded to it. What drove you, one, to the ministry and then to the Army? Did it come in that order?
Yeah, it did. It came in that order. So I grew up in the house of a Navy veteran. My mom was kind of a hippie. My dad was a Navy guy. But they were also people that wanted me to think for myself. And by the time I turned into a teenager, they said, yeah, you don't have to go to church anymore if you don't want to. And so I did, and I did what a lot of teenagers do. I kind of drifted and went a lot wild in a lot of places. And I tell this story. I was a bouncer at a bar. I broke up a fight between 2 girls, and I married one of them, and I'm still married to her.
That is a great story. I want to hear more of that.
That girl that I broke up the fight with, she really rescued me from the life that I was living, because she kind of grabbed me by the collar one day and said, if you don't stop living like you're living, I'm not going to go out with you anymore. She was really pretty. And so I just made a really...
I think you meant to say she really is pretty.
She still is. Yeah, I mean, she's still stunning, right? And so I made a really carnal choice and went with the pretty girl. But what that did really is got me into a place where I started thinking about the bigger things of life. And then really kind of had a man, I don't know how else put it, but a radical encounter with Jesus when I was about 28 years old. And that led me into civilian ministry. And then this thing, 9/11 happened, 19 years ago this week. And so, I was kind of a guy who'd been raised by a Navy guy, had grew up watching the Green Berets, right? On my black and white TV here in Arnold County, North Carolina. And now I found myself, at 37 years old, at a recruiter's office wanting to be an infantryman. And they were like, you're too old, man. So they were like, what do you do on the civilian side? I said, well, I'm a pastor. It's like, hey, you can be a chaplain. And I was like, what's that? And I'm like a pastor for soldiers. And next, found myself at basic training at Fort Jackson, and a whole new world began for me. And ended up serving over in Iraq, and then getting to serve with some of the some of this country's finest people, for sure.
Right.
Well, look, you just shocked me when you said you joined at 37. I had no idea about that. So if I add 20 years to that, I come up with 57. So somewhere you're 56, 57 years old.
Well, I'm 3 years short of a 20-year retirement, so I'll be 55 in
55,
in 3
okay.
weeks. I'll be 55 in 3 weeks, and so I'm 3 years short of a reserve retirement, and so I'm very. It's about time for me. I'm a little bit too old to do all that now, but I still feel good, man. You know, so
Look good.
you know, still pass my PT test, so you know.
No, well, quite frankly, about 60 is about, I don't care who you are, that's about it. They kind of push you out. I know the Army Chief of Chaplains, Tom Soljem, got to be the oldest guy ever. Tom's a good friend of mine. He's been in for, I don't know, 42 years, something
Were you guys
like that.
you guys were at the Ranger Regiment together when you were in?
No, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think I really started to know Tom in Army War College. We were at SOCOM together.
Yeah.
I was the PAO and he was the chaplain, so we spent a lot of time together. Unfortunately, a lot of events.
Yeah, sure.
Some of them not so happy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But no, just a great guy, phenomenal guy. But for those people listening at home, it takes presidential approval to go past 35 years.
Right.
He's at, like I say, I think 42-ish, somewhere in there. I just unheard of.
He's made a difference. If you go across the chaplain corps, his fingerprint is on so many guys, so many chaplains across the chaplain corps that look up to him as a model for what caring for souls looks like in the military. So.
Yeah, well, you can't go wrong with him as a model. I know he would come to me and say, "Hey, I'm going to go over to Afghanistan. Do you want to come with me?" Basically like a trip. I would laugh and say, "No, because you won't be home for 6 months. Your 2-week trips, end up 6 months." I mean, because he would go to where he was needed, right? I mean, that's what you guys do. And that's what I was talking about. Not only do you guys join the Army, but then so many chaplains I've encountered, put themselves forward where they're kind of most needed. And I've just always been kind of a little fascinated by that, kind of the dichotomy, if you will, of where their lifestyle versus, well, it's not even what they're preaching, because you're preaching love and all of that, but I mean, however you want to say it, but to put yourself in harm's way, I don't think a lot of civilian ministers / chaplains do that. I know there's guys that go into prisons or whatever. That's about what I would think. I mean, risk wise, I'm not comparing soldiers to criminals. I'm saying risk wise.
Sure. Yeah. Understood. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really think about it a lot. I do. And then the dichotomy it is kind of weird because, Jesus, his call, on us is to be, he says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God." And how do you balance that with in the midst of, where I served in the midst of guys who are tasked with, doing the deed and taking the fight to the enemy? How do you balance that, and how do you care for them in the midst of what they have to do, what their job calls them to violence, and I'll be honest, it's something that I struggle with, and I think you'd be a lousy chaplain if you didn't struggle with that.
Well, I know Neal wants to ask you some questions, but that was kind of at the core of my question as well. You take in, as a chaplain, you take in so much emotional baggage, if you will, from others. That how do you maintain your own sanity, your own true north, if you will, your own beliefs, when you're just constantly taking on everybody else's issues?
Yeah, that's a good question. And to be honest, a lot of us don't do a great job with that. A lot of us are caregivers are bad at taking care of themselves, really good at taking care of other people. And if you're like me, I found out that I didn't realize all the years of going to war and burying my friends, standing at Arlington, giving away flags, being with grieving wives. And I didn't realize what that had done to me until I started leading combat recovery courses on the civilian side. And I'm hearing my veterans, here in my local community telling me about what all's going on in their life. And I'm like, hey, that sounds a lot like what I'm feeling, right? I was like, man, I'm just as broken as you. I fully admit that it took a toll on me. And it's something that I don't know that I won't ever be the same guy I was, before we went to war. But I also know that too, I have a greater understanding about humans, about the people I love, in a much deeper way now because of those experiences. I look at life as a lot more precious now, and I cherish friendships a lot more now, and because I realize they're fleeting and they can be gone at any time, and those times where you get an opportunity to speak with someone, tell them you love them, those are important moments, So
yeah, no, I'd agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brad, we met out in South Dakota a number of years ago. Speaking of one of your friends who passed, he was a friend of mine, and even Colonel and I knew him too, Mark McKinnon, who's one of the biggest heroes this country's ever seen. It was just shocking and sad the way he passed. But we met at his funeral out in the Dakotas, and we stayed in touch over the years.
Ever since, right? Yeah, that was February of 2017.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I didn't know him as long as you did, but I can tell you, I can count on less than one hand people that didn't have the impact that Mark had on my life in such a short period of time. I mean, he was
amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, he was a doer. And you couldn't do as much as him. And he taught me a lot about humility and grace and giving. And it's just amazing that on the civilian side of living, he was all about Isaiah 117.
Yeah.
And when we got to know each other and started talking, I was doing a similar track just on the civilian life. So I ended up getting a tattoo for Mark in his honor, Isaiah 117, but it's in Latin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep, and it's like an East meets West type mandala, and it's just kind of how. I mean, Mark was Christian, but he was also Indian, and he just had kind of like a mixed faith. And I'm a lapsed Catholic, and I grew up Irish Catholic my whole life. Grade school, middle school, high school, college Catholic, and I just kind of lapsed. But I like Mark, I think you can be spiritual without going to four walls and a roof and listen to a human being that might not be a great guy. And I think as long as you're spiritual and never give up, or at least believe in a higher being, which I know who my higher being is, I'm all set. And I just try to do good every day, like you do, and like Colonel Nye does. But
that was a unique experience out there with his family, and the Lakota Sioux portion of the funeral. That was something that I had never experienced before.
Likewise.
Very profound, and the way they expressed grief was really unique. But man, what a tight community of people! And man, I was really blessed by getting to know them. I still talk to Gene,
nice.
His dad, from time to time, and on Facebook. We all talk about Facebook. And I keep tabs on Candace and how they're doing, and so
awesome.
Just a great guy. We miss him for sure.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. He has a legacy that will last forever, though, and he touched a lot of human beings. So on every level, military, religious, citizen, whatever. Mark was just a good, solid, all around guy.
Yeah. It was all the pictures that you ever saw of Mark from downrange. He always had kids in the picture.
Yeah.
It was always children, or it was either him in like a Hawaiian shirt. Smoking a cigarette, right?
Flip-flops or something on it. Downrange,
fantastic. Right? You can't make stuff like that up.
No, you can't. And I agree with you. That weekend out in the Dakotas was really something special. And what got me, Colonel Nye, was I really was getting to know a lot of the guys from third group back then, and some of my trust like brothers now. But I saw I saw the pre-mark where they were all tough guys and good guys, but they had an edge about them. Over that weekend, I saw the human side of them, where some of them were in tears, and you saw the human side of things. And then I'll never forget, Brad, at the funeral in the gym, they were all in their green berets, and they were all stoic. And that, I mean, some of the words that were spoken at that funeral would have made anybody break down. And those guys were stoic until they got out of that church. And it was just amazing how they could channel what I saw the night before into the stoicism the day of the funeral, and then after the funeral. So I'll never forget that weekend ever. It was great for me to see and be part of that weekend.
Yeah, it was great.
It's hard not to break during roll call, though.
Yeah.
When they call the roll, that's and then followed by taps. That's where it breaks right there.
Yeah, that's where it breaks.
Yeah. So let's shift a little bit.
Sure.
We weren't going to talk about this, but I see the F3 flag behind you.
Oh, yeah.
And what you don't know, Brad, is Colonel Nye and I had this initiation. It was in North Carolina, wasn't it, sir?
Yeah, sure was.
Yeah.
Outside of Charlotte.
I'm out of shape now, Brad, but I'm a former power lifter, and Colonel Nye's always been in shape. It doesn't matter what it was, but he'd be in shape. And we got invited by is it Jim Gregory, Colonel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know Jim Gregory, Brad?
I don't.
Yeah. No. So he's an F3 guy. What group was
He's also third group.
Third group, and he was a major, a lieutenant colonel, or
it was a major third group guy. And then he came to work for me at USACHAS headquarters.
Yep.
Okay.
So he said he was going to raise money for the foundation or the organization, the nonprofit I was with, Brad. And he said, come on down, check out F3. We'll make some money for you guys, but you got to get initiated. So Colonel and I go down, and we're thinking, body weight, push-ups, sit-ups. That's fine. All easy, right? So that was the longest morning I've ever had in my life. I'm telling you right now, when we must have, what did we run in an hour, sir?
I don't know. A lot of sprints.
A lot of sprints.
A lot of sprints.
Oh my God.
Was it in Charlotte, or were you down east somewhere, or where?
No, it was in Charlotte.
It was
Charlotte. Oh, it was in Charlotte. Yes,
Yeah.
The guy that founded F3. There's two guys Dave
That was
Redding.
him.
It was Dave.
Yeah.
Oh man, Dread. Yeah, he's
Dread,
terrible.
yeah. He was terrible.
Yeah.
And they truly left us in the dust. And Colonel and I, you can speak yourself, but I was in the rear, way in the rear. And Jim Gregory, who was in phenomenal shape, he was an Olympian, would come back and circle back to us. Hey, you guys okay? So we made it. We finished the day. But then the cool thing about that is at the end, you sit around in a circle and you shoot the shit. And they gave us nicknames. I actually forgot mine. I think I blacked it up. I did. I know. But Colonel, what was yours? Do you remember?
Snowflake or something. I don't know.
Snowflake.
I know. I have no idea what it was.
Yeah. But Brad, that was another great experience that we got with a bunch of regular guys. You could have been a Wall Street guy or a trash guy, and everybody was on the same page that morning. And
they did great stuff in Charlotte. Dread. They got a thing going at the Charlotte Rescue Mission. Doing F3 workouts with the homeless population down there. If you go down in downtown Charlotte, you'll see guys that are in and out of the homeless shelter. They're wearing F3 shirts, man, and they got F3 names.
That's awesome.
You'll go, hey, chicken head, right, or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. It's an incredible movement, really is.
Yeah, they came to the Spartan races a couple times down at Bragg.
Yeah.
They did.
In mass, hundreds of them, and with their kind of marched in with their shirts and everything else. It was great. I remember on that morning that as everybody would pass me, words of encouragement.
That's right.
Out of bag, say, "Come on, you can make it." And I was thinking, well, of course I'll make it.
Yeah.
I will be last.
Right. Yeah. Right. I'm going to finish.
20 to 25 years older than the rest of you out here. I'll make it, but don't expect me to be first.
Right.
Well,
right.
what F3 has done is, Dredd came up with this idea of what he calls sad clown syndrome, which is it's the guy who's 42 years old. He's got 2.5 kids. He's established in his job. But there's something missing in his life. you know,
Yep.
and what's missing is those 3 F's, right? He's gotten soft around the middle. He's got no meaningful fellowship in his life, and and he hasn't engaged the transcendent in any way in a number of years. And that's what F3 is all about, is about reconnecting men to those 3 things. And it is a community game changer for male leadership, for sure.
No doubt.
Turning men back to, you know, being good husbands and dads, and being good friends, and being good members of their community, and then being good followers of their God. You know. So.
Yeah, and like you said, they're helping out the homeless community in Charlotte. I didn't know they were doing that. I know they do a lot of great stuff, but
it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fitness, faith, and fellowship. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And just so our listeners and viewers know, there's chapters all over the country, and
we're everywhere. Yeah,
everywhere.
Go to Google F3 Nation, and you can do a workout locator. It's free. It's open to all men. There's never any cost, and there's the only request. It's free, open to all men, and there's always what they call a circle of trust at the end, where there's a prayer, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to subscribe to any particular faith or any faith. Everybody is welcome. And, it's a really cool.
Everybody but women.
Well, there's a women's version of it.
There's a women's version. I just thought
it's called FIA, Females in Action. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just thought I'd stir the pot a little there. That's all.
There you go.
That's right.
Like you do. But they do work out. Like we were there, Colonel. Oh, no, you weren't there. I did a second workout with them at a different location
did you up at Fenway? Did they come up there for part of your race?
They did not.
Gregory?
This was in North Carolina again, and the women were working out right after them on the same course. So they missed each other by a half hour, but everyone said hi and shook hands and hugged and all that stuff. So it's really cool. And just so you know, Brad, Jim Gregory left the North Carolina, not Charlotte, but it was like RDU or something. That was a big chapter as well. Went to DC to get a new job, and he started doing his own thing by himself, planting a shovel and a flag by himself. And now he can evangelize as well. And I don't mean faith. He's just a great guy. He can evangelize about anything. And what did he say, Colonel? He's got like 30 or 40 people already. He's
up in Arlington.
Virginia.
That's awesome. He was working at UNC, Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
He was the spokesman either for the entire campus or the sports program.
Right.
Okay. And now he's up at the TSA.
Yeah, nationwide, right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a spokesman for TSA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Brad, I think I want to get into a little bit about, I don't know, our podcast truly is about grit, determination, and perseverance. That's why we do this. We initially started it to help nonprofit leaders get through this shit show that we're dealing with right now with the COVID and then the riots and everything else. And everyone's locked up. And I think everyone is looking for guidance. I don't care if you're a CEO all the way down to a guy sitting in a chair pushing paper every day. So can you give us some insight into maybe some issues you've had throughout your life and how, like you've already told us one, your wife pulled you out of a bar and said, hey, we're done unless you straighten yourself out. Then you had another epiphany when you were 28, but those must have been low points in your life. How did you get out of those? And then, grit, determination, perseverance, how'd you see the other side and you're still helping people and low points get better. So talk to us about that. Give us some examples of maybe 2 or 3 that you experienced in your life and how you persevered through all of them. Yeah,
I think, for me, I don't do well in isolation. And what I've seen is for veterans that self-destructive behavior grows out of isolation. And in isolation, there's always darkness. And I speak in frames of reference of light and dark. That's just from my biblical underpinning. That Jesus came to bring light to the world. He is the light of the world, and that the darkness cannot exist when there is light. And darkness is simply the absence of light.
Yep.
And so when we bring light to something, And so for me, the way light, grows in my life is when I'm seeing other people grow and get better at what they're doing, or we're providing assistance, or seeing people go from a place of desperation to a place of victory. And there's nothing better in this world than to see somebody who's overcome and to walk with them through that. And really, so for those of us in the helping profession, you kind of get addicted to that. You kind of get addicted to putting yourself in positions of places where you're going to see darkness, where you're going to encounter the darkness, so that you can bring light to bear in that dark place. And I guess that really kind of, Matt, I didn't realize about, trauma ministry is something I've been really interested in for a long time, and still am. But it started back, before I joined the military with a car wreck, and a friend of mine, a young girl was in my youth group when I was a youth pastor. She passed away in a car wreck, and I was really close to the hospital, so I was the first one there. And it was just me and her mom, in the emergency room. And her 17-year-old daughter's in the other room, and she's no longer living, and her mom's dealing with the worst day of her life. And I was just clueless. I was like, God, I don't know what to say to this woman. And what I realized was that I didn't really need to say anything. I just needed to be with her.
Be present.
I just needed to hold her hand and put my arm around her and cry with her, right? But as I walked away from that experience with her, what I realized is like, I felt and sensed such a sense of purpose out of being with her in that terrible place in her life, even though I didn't want to be there, right? It's hard to explain. I don't want to be in places like that. I don't want to be there, but man, I know when people are going through that's not the time to run away. I guess it's sort of like firefighters, right?
Yeah.
A building's burning and everybody else is running out, and firefighters are running in, and people are there in helping ministry. When death and destruction are happening, we're running to people's aid rather than running away from it. And so that's really one of the ways that I've overcome is by looking outward at others and not focusing inward on myself. And it's only the times where I'm self-absorbed that's when I start losing it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's that age-old expression, idle time is the devil's playground. And I truly think in isolation, we're social creatures by nature. And I think what's happening in this country is so nefarious by closing everything down and keeping people isolated. I don't know the numbers, I don't know the stats, but I can't in my wildest dreams not think the mental damage we're doing to people versus what's happening in the COVID side.
People are hungering to be together, man. I mean, They are hungering for it, and they want to be together. I just before I came on it here, my highway patrol buddy was here, and I haven't seen him in 2 months, right? I mean, I haven't laid out. We used to see each other twice a week, and we just hugged each other, And it was like, oh man, whoa, but it's just so good to see his face in person, and and I think it's that human connection. That's where we find life anyhow,
Totally.
Why were you having encounters with the law twice a week? Was he pulling you over twice a week? What?
Sort of the statute of limitations in and out on that, so I can't converse anymore on that. So leave it at that.
So let's do this, guys. We're doing this a little bit earlier than we normal, but I think we're going to cut away here for a second, and then I'd really like to get into what you're doing with Purple Hearts, and then a big fundraiser that you have in Bragg. So we're going to stop here for a sec, listen to our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. All right, everyone, we're back here with Strength in Numbers with Colonel Nye and Brad Borders. And we just took a short break, but we're going to talk to Brad about two things that are near and dear to his heart. One is Purple Hearts, and the other is the fundraiser that he's doing to help. So, Brad, why don't you talk about Purple Hearts a little bit in detail, why you got involved, why it is amazing, and then we'll talk about the bike ride that you're doing to help. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Neil. The Purple Heart Homes, I serve as the vice president. For the last couple of years, I've been the vice president of chapters here, and I'm moving into an outreach role here in the next month or so in a transition phase, and I'm really excited about that. Purple Heart Homes, a 501c3 nonprofit founded here in Statesville, North Carolina. Two National Guard veterans that were just young kids went over to Iraq in 2004, and on November 15th of 2004, they drove their Humvee over a 500-pound anti-tank mine outside of Kirkuk and it ruined their day. Dale Beatty and John Galena are the two founders of this organization. Dale lost both of his legs from the knee down, and if you look on my wall, I don't know if you can see that picture up there, but that's Dale in a cover shot for Soleus. Soleus is a manufacturer of prosthetics for veterans or for anybody who's lost a limb.
Right.
So Dale lost both of his legs, went to Walter Reed, had to learn how to walk all over again. John had, all kinds of, he didn't lose any limbs, but had some, terrible back injuries, TBI, the drill, concussion injuries and overblast stuff and all of that. Dale was at Walter Reed for a year and a half, got back home here to Statesville, and they just found that his home was not suitable for his injuries. Mm-hmm. And John, before, as National Guardsmen, they had outside civilian careers. John had been in the contracting world. And John was so, wanted to help his buddy. So he organized some building supply places and some other veterans and some churches. They came together and, man, they came up with this wacky idea to build Dale a fully adaptive home. And all of these veterans came out to help frame this house up. Dale was out there watching these guys build his house, and a lot of them were Vietnam era veterans.
Wow.
And he was like, who's taking care of these guys? These guys are taking care of me. Who's taking care of these guys? And so he and John, after the house was finished, they were just sitting out on Dale's back porch, and they were like, man, we should do something. We should do something for others. And so that was where the idea came up. They named it Purple Heart Homes because they had both gotten Purple Hearts, right? That was kind of where the name came from.
Sure.
And they founded the organization in 2008 with the official 501c3. But the first project wasn't done until 2010 because they had to build the framework of the nonprofit. And
sure.
The first they did one project in 2010, and that was a ramp for a Vietnam veteran. And then as of today, we have, in the last 12 years, we've served 632 veterans in critical home repair, safety and accessibility, or new homes, putting them in a new home. And we're really, and most of those have taken place in the last 4 years. And the growth is accelerated from a nonprofit that has like a $30,000 budget the first year to, I think we're in somewhere around $5 million of the work that we do now, and major partners throughout the country, Home Depot, big box store type companies come alongside us, major grants, and so we're just very lucky, very fortunate to be able to do what we do on a day-to-day basis. On February 12th, Dale got up to go. He was our chapter director up until that year, and he got up to go drive up to Nashville, and man, he just fell over dead from a pulmonary embolism that came from his injuries. So, 14 years after his injuries, the war killed him, and so. We lost a huge piece of us. Our dear friend, our co-founder, passed away, and it was just a really tough time. I found myself being a chaplain to my coworkers and to my friends and my work family, and so we've been in a recovery process since then, just recovering from his absence for the last 2 years. We have to a lot of people shift roles. And I think Dale would be really proud of the way this organization has responded. In fact, the best year we ever had up until then was 2018. And then 2019 was better than 2018 as far as number of veterans served. And then this year we're on track to help over 100 veterans this year as well. So I think we'd be making him proud, and I think that's what I don't think he would have wanted us to roll over and be dead.
No way,
You know?
no way,
Yeah.
Brad. That is it right there. Grit, determination, and perseverance. You guys could have folded, and you didn't, and that would have destroyed his legacy. So, I can tell you confidently, I've been in the nonprofit world for 18 years now. For what he did and what you guys are doing is amazing. To go from 30 grand to 5 million in that short a time frame is awesome, and make connections and everything else. So I guess what I'm telling you is, I'm preaching to you, is be proud of yourself, because I know you're a humble guy, but everyone on your team needs to be proud of themselves, because that truly is amazing.
Yeah, we got some incredible folks at work here, and John, our executive director, Dale's buddy. He's a brilliant guy, dear friend of mine, and I'm really proud of him. He's 40 years old, man. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me to think about what this guy has done, and how many lives and communities have been affected by this vision of Purple Heart Homes. And now, I was just on the phone before before our time here with the Gary Sinise Foundation. We work with them. We work with the Simplify Fund, a number of other Habitat for Humanity. They have a Veterans Bill program. So we partner with other nonprofits, because we realize we're not the only player in town, and there's too much need for one organization to help everyone.
Agreed.
And we've got to pull resources and work together. And there's so much talent out there at these other organizations. They're just so phenomenal in what they're doing and their vision and their processes. And I just learn so much from these other folks every single day. Just makes us better at what we do. And we're really proud to stand with others who have big hearts for their communities.
Awesome.
Well, I was going to ask you that, and you kind of covered, how do you distinguish yourself from others? Because it's the uglier side of this is it's a competition for those dollars.
Right.
So you are doing a phenomenal job. So that means your sales pitch or your mission, your vision, whatever, is obviously make a connection to the investors. But how do you do that? How do you distinguish yourself from homes from heroes or tunnels from towers
right.
to tunnel, whatever they, who are in the home building business as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I would say that 95% of what we do is safety and accessibility renovations for homes that veterans already own.
Thanks.
Okay.
And so those other organizations are primarily new home builds. And so our bread and butter is the ramp, is the kitchen remodel, the bathroom remodel. That's our bread and butter. That's where our niche is.
Mm-hmm.
And then our other bread and butter is that we will serve any veteran of any era, any age, as long as they're service connected.
That's awesome.
And so we don't just help folks that are post 9/11. Our 80% of the folks we serve are of the Vietnam era and older, and so we if we get a World War II veteran in that has a need, he goes to the front of the line, absolutely to the front of the line immediately.
So what do they need, Brad? A DD 214 and some kind of VA certificate that says it was injury related?
Yep, VA compensation letter, DD 214, photo ID. We run a background check on everybody. Just normal vetting process to make sure they are who they say they are. And we have very little issues. Most of the folks apply with us are good to go.
So you mentioned obviously the ramps, and I'm imagining, and again, the bathrooms make sense to me. I know that, just even switches on a wall, bringing them down for people in wheelchairs. What has been, what are kind of your biggest challenges in redesigning these homes? And then what is one of your like more unique renovation?
Yeah, well, we've got a female veteran over in Knoxville that we've been working with for almost 3 years. She was, a victim of some unfortunate things in her time in service, and it has so affected her that she has trouble just navigating her day. And she came to us. She lived in a fairly new home. She had hired a contractor to do some renovation on her kitchen, and the contractor was inept, took $40,000 from her and walked off the job, and ended up leaving her home structurally unsound to the point where inspectors were going to condemn this 6-year-old home.
Wow.
Because he had cut into some floor joists and things like that. And so, we've been that job is going to be finished up in the next couple of weeks, and we found an amazing contractor over there that just did just an unbelievable job at working with her and being patient with her. He and his wife, right? So he had to bring a female in to help her navigate that. But man, it just, and that's just one of man. There's so many stories, sir, that I could tell you of just the tragedy, the people that are at the end of their rope. They've been taken advantage of. A lot of our older veterans never even went to the VA, and they even know they had benefits out there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we have to go, hey, you got a veteran service officer, and we help them get connected up so that they can get the benefits that they rightfully have earned because of their service.
Right.
And so our older veterans, I'm so inspired by them to be able to meet guys that were in Korea. We did a ramp for a Korean War veteran that was on Hamburger Hill in Korea.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And I mean, he's just here in Statesville. We didn't even know he was here. He sat out on his deck, and he had a ramp that somebody had built for him. It was a loving, caring thing that someone did for him as part of his family, but the thing was too steep. He was falling off of it, rolling off of the thing. It had no handrails on it.
Wow.
And we went out and built him a new ramp, and he came outside and he brought his heart out to show to us. He brought pictures of when he was 20 years old over in Korea, and he's just showing us, and his little dog with him. And it was those moments are just so precious to be able to serve somebody at the later years in their life and make their life better, where they didn't think that their life was going to get any better.
Yeah, agreed, sir. Agreed. Yeah. Amazing. So, if we want people to find you, so is it purplehearthomes.com, or what's the website?
Yeah, it's purplehearthomesusa.org. purplehearthomesusa.org.
Okay. Yep. And we'll put that up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And we'll do the logo that you gave us. So we'll definitely put that up there so people can pause it and see it. So I just want to do another transition. Let's
bicycle ride.
Yeah. Let's talk about your bike ride. What's this this charity you're doing on the
so COVID, right? So COVID has kind of put a damper on all our normal fundraising events where we would have a big gala, or you can't get people together. And in the cycling world, there's this thing that cyclists have been doing, because all the racing up until a couple of weeks ago, all the racing had been kaput. Nobody was doing any local races, no big group rides. And so these cyclists were doing this thing called Everesting, right? And so that's where you find a hill and you ride up and down the hill until you achieve an elevation gain of the height of Mount Everest. It is a horribly ridiculous thing to be able to do. Like professional level cyclists, it takes them 7.5 hours to do this, and they'll cover 60 or 70 miles on a really super steep incline, right?
Right.
So I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, I love to ride bicycles, and I'm in fairly decent shape for a 54-year-old, almost 55-year-old guy. I'm not going to ride the height of Mount Everest. It would take me 15 hours to do that. We don't have enough time in the day to do that. So I was like, what's a good height? And I got to thinking about it. So Colonel Nye, you'll know this, like Kent Solheim down at Third Group, and some of the guys on his team. One of those stories that is just so memorable to me was his team with Bo Ramsey and Tim Roberson and those cats back when Marcus Luttrell and his guys had a really bad day, and and Marcus got rolled up and was lost, and he lost his whole team. Kent's team went over these mountains and went and got that guy, and brought him home. And all of the mountains, I talked to Kent about it, and this is where the idea came up with. I was like, how tall were those mountains? He was like, man, they were all 10,000 feet. And I was like, all right, that's the number. So we're going to do, on October 24th, in honor of veterans, and particularly more personally, honor of my veteran friends who served in Afghanistan, we're going to ride 10,000 feet on one hill in Alexander County, North Carolina. I've got a group of 10 riders that are coming. I've got former Third Group guy, Don Franklin, who's coming to ride with us. There's a possibility that Mark Eckert may come and ride with us, who's now the Sergeant Major of USACHAS. If his schedule allows, he wants to come do it with us. I've got 11 Bravo buddy of mine here. I've got a dad of a Navy corpsman that's going to ride with us. And then I've got just some of my friends who their dads served, or they just want to help us do this. So we've got a team of 10. Nice. We're going to ride up and down this mountain until we achieve 10,000 feet elevation gain, and we're going to cover a distance of 64 miles. So it's 10,000 feet, 100 kilometers, and we're going to do it. We think we're going to do it in 6.5 hours. We think.
That's great.
And then there's another neat addendum to that. Project Echelon. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them, but Project Echelon, somebody you need to be acquainted with, and they are a professional. No kidding. We get paid to ride bicycles race team here in America. They're a Category 1 elite level race team, as big as you get in the United States. And all of their focus and all their proceeds, their sponsorships, they channel money into veterans, not nonprofits. And so they're sponsoring this event with us. And they're sending 5 pro riders to come do this with us. Now, I'm going to see them at the beginning. Yeah, but and they'll be done for a couple hours before I'm done. But it's going to be a fabulous event. The other thing that we're going to do in the event, and we've got on our website, in our events page, you can see this. But so you remember when we would go down range, sir, and we have someone that we cared about back home, and we would run a flag up the pole for them,
right.
And do a certificate. So we're going to do something similar to that. On this event. So we're calling that Honor on the Hill within Take That Hill. And so folks, and this is on our website, for $100, and I actually have the flag here. So we've got these small 12 by 18 like nautical boat flags.
Yep, there you go.
They're stitched, so they're not like cheapies. They're very durable. So $100 donation in honor of a veteran that you love. Right. And so this flag, we will triangle fold them. They'll go in the pockets of the riders. They'll be in a bag. It'll have the veteran's name on it. All right. So we would say, like, Neal, you would buy one for Tim. And so this flag is being ridden to the top of Barrett Mountain in honor of Colonel Tim Nye.
That's awesome.
And then what will happen at the end of it, after the event's over, I'm going to take all the flags. We're going to bring them back here to Purple Heart Homes. I'm going to put them in a frame. And I'm going to put a patch in it that says Take That Hill. I'm going to throw a Purple Heart Homes coin in there, and I'm going to mail it to the donor so that they can put it on their wall, or they can give it to the veteran that they love. And they'll have a certificate on the back of it that says, this flag was ridden to the top of Barrett Mountain in your honor.
Take that hill.
So, Take That Hill. So,
right.
And then so the $100 will cover the cost of the flag and the frame and the shipping and the packing and everything. And then the rest of the money out of the $100 pays it forward. So you get to honor 2 veterans. You get to help a veteran. You get to honor a veteran you love, and you get to pay it forward to help a veteran with a housing needs.
That's amazing.
I'm really excited about that.
That's amazing. Yep, that's really cool. We'll get behind that for sure.
Yeah, I'll give you some names off air, but I'll sign up for 5.
You got it, sir. We'll take it, and I'll carry them personally. Okay. Absolutely. My wife and I are sponsoring.
Now watch Neal. Neal can't stand by now.
No. Well, I can't let him beat me, but I'll match him, so I'm good for 5 too, Brad.
My wife and I are sponsoring her grandfather, who he died when I was in Iraq, and he died on Christmas Day. He was a World War II veteran. He was captured in the Battle of the Bulge and spent the rest of the war in a German prison camp. Signed up to go when he was 28 years old. Did not get drafted. He volunteered to go as a 28-year-old man. So we're going to honor Zeb Wilson, with some of what God has given us. We're going to pour back into him and honor him, and that flag will hang on my father-in-law's wall.
That's
Very
great.
nice.
His dad's on.
My dad was 82nd Airborne, didn't see combat, but he passed away a couple years ago. So I'm definitely going to do one for him, for my mom.
Yeah, and these flags are for any veteran, either still with us or gone on to be with the Lord. So
there you go.
It is something that we're so excited about doing, and I can't tell you how many. We really just started pushing it last week, and I was like, oh, nobody's going to get that. That's a lot of money, It's $100, but I can't. It's like 15 or 16 people have already said, yeah, man, sign me up, and already got them. I was like, all right, I'll carry yours up. So I'm hoping my pockets will just be jammed full with these things.
Yeah, you're gonna have a backpack on.
That's fine with me. Yeah, it's fine with me. Yeah, I'll shoulder the load.
Yeah,
I can suffer a little while. Yeah,
100% and then some. I hope you're training with some weight on your back.
I'm training. Yeah, it hurt. I did. So the mountain is really close to us. So last Saturday we went and rode. We got to do it 16 times in order to achieve the distance and elevation gain we want. And I did it eight times last Saturday. And what I found out is that it's hard.
You found out that it hurts.
It hurt. It hurt. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Brad, I think, Colonel, do you have anything to add?
No, the same as basically. Listen, I just want to congratulate you on everything you're doing. And try to support you any way I can. That's, again, I said right off the top, I've been very fortunate. I've had some extraordinarily good chaplains in my career that I was. Tom Soljum's a good friend. Brian Walker, who's Brian Walker is one of my closest friends.
Yeah. He's my boss now.
Yeah. Yes. Well, just so you know, I texted him back and forth while we were talking. So yes,
he's my boss at the chaplain school. So
yeah. So I wonder if you got permission to be on here. But anyway, that's the first thing.
Not.
It's the first thing he asked me. That's what he asked me. So I don't want to. But yeah. So Brian and I have been good friends. Attended each other's children's weddings. He spoke at my graduation, my retirement, all of that. So I've been very fortunate to serve with some extraordinary chaplains who have really set high standards, high bars from being a soldier to being a leader to being a Christian to being a man kind of thing. They really great stuff. So I am always in awe of what they do, and I understand what they kind of the challenges you take on. And it's not for everybody. It's hard. It's physically draining, emotionally draining. And I really just, I appreciate everything you do.
Hey, thanks, sir. I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
So I want to thank you as well for all your service. And I do want to say that, no man is his own island. So, I know we're on a YouTube and I iPod and all that stuff right here, but you got to take care of yourself too. So don't ever let it get too far where you're not taking care of you and your wife and your family. So
you got it. Yeah. Well, my wife keeps me in pretty good line, and she grabbed me by the collar, 29 years ago. She still does it. So she's awesome. A little woman, but I'm scared of her.
Yeah. That's the way it always is, right? I agree.
Yeah. Don't mess with her.
No. So, Brad, at the end of the podcast, we normally do a shout out to two different people, and we're still going to do that, but we're going to highlight what you're doing. So the nonprofit that Colonel Nye and I help out is called Special Op Excursions. And we have a wonderful man and wife, his wife, Rachel, Scott Graves and Rachel Graves have been running this for a long time. In fact, I just had the real great opportunity of going up with a buddy of mine this past weekend out in Tennessee. my buddy and I both needed to decompress on our side of our lives. And Scott said, because of COVID, we're shut down, come out and hang out at our lodge. And we did that for 2 days. And it was just
That's awesome.
It was a respite. And I can see why those active duty soft guys keep going back to see Scott and his lodge. But so we do that every week. So we're going to highlight you and really ask our viewers to concentrate on your fundraiser that you're doing, Take That Hill. So I don't mess it up. Let's go back over the website and the link again so people can help you guys out.
Yeah, so I've actually got a Facebook page called Take That Hill. I can send you all the links and stuff if you want to put that in your descriptions and stuff. But
yes,
the
please.
website is purplehearthomesusa.org. Yep. And then you can find the Take That Hill event page, and then all the ways to support the Take That Hill event is in our events page. It's right there. It's the next thing coming. So it's on October the 24th, and appreciate any support that folks can give, and I'd love to carry a flag for any veteran, any loved one. I'll be glad to tote that thing up that mountain.
Yes, sir. So in case someone can't afford the $100, you'll still accept a $5 or $10 gift.
You can make a donation of any kind. Yeah, the option is there on the page. Yeah, you can make a donation of any kind. And
that's awesome.
And if somebody even if monetarily they want to get involved with us, have them hit our in our website. There's a Get Connected button, and we have 22 chapters all across the country, and perhaps they live in one of those areas all the way from Alaska to Florida.
Yep.
And so perhaps they want to volunteer on a job or get involved with us in some way. We'll get them connected in.
So whether they want to volunteer their time as a grunt gopher all the way up to an electrician, plumber, they can volunteer for you guys.
Yeah, we're always looking for contractors that are willing to ramrod jobs for us and bring expertise on the ground, because we do work all over the country, and sometimes we have veterans that are, they're given an application from Missoula, Montana, and we don't know anybody there.
Yeah.
And and to have a contractor in that area would send a message into us saying, hey, I can help you guys with that veteran. I'll go out and assess a job for you, tell you what they need. It'd be fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah, we'll do that for you, sir. And to make it idiot-proof for me, just send me over those links. I'll make sure our guy, Dan Krikorian, gets them up on the website. So, we'll try to push this out. We got some time to do that for you. And you just raised $1,000 right here on this podcast. So
holy cow, man! I don't know what to say, man. Hey, let's do it again next week, right?
Put nice down for a weekly donation.
I really can't thank y'all enough, and what a great platform. Appreciate what you're doing for others and giving people a voice. Sometimes we feel like we don't have a voice, and when we're given the opportunity to tell our story, I think people want to hear it. And Lord knows, don't we need some good news these days?
Absolutely.
We absolutely do.
I'm just sick of bad news, man. I want to tell some good news stories.
I agree, Brad. And
it's draining.
It is draining. And that's the whole thing about us doing this: grit, determination, and perseverance. Everyone's got that in themselves. They just might not know it yet. But talking to people like you, everyone can be a leader, and everyone can pull themselves out of a hole. They just need guys like you as inspiration to say, hey, I saw that guy on YouTube. Let me try to get my life straight. Or maybe it's a woman or a guy seeing someone in need, and they act like your wife, and they pull you out of a hole. So yeah. we all need help. No man is his own island. And it's just great talking to guys like you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. All right. Well, God bless you guys.
Strength in Numbers is produced by Be Viral Production. Find out how Be Viral can produce your next show, commercial, or podcast at www.beviralproduction.com.